Hello, welcome to Gurukul's Cat 100 series, a series that's designed specifically to take you from your study room to the corporate boardroom. I am Prady Sharma and this is Verbal Mastery with Prady.
Hello and welcome back to day 85 of our 100 Days to CAT test series. Now, we've gotten 5 good para jumbles for us to solve today. In case you want to take these up as a test, all you've got to do is go on to www.thegurukul.org.in and sign up for our 100 Days to CAT test series. If you want to continue along with your video, then this is the first para jumble for you to solve. Pause the video here, solve this para jumble, and then we'll go into the next para jumble. This is our second para jumble for today. Pause the video here, solve this para jumble, and then we're going to go into the third para jumble. Now this is your third para jumble for today. Pause the video here, solve this para jumble, and then we're going to go into the fourth para jumble. Now this is the fourth para jumble for today. Pause the video, solve this para jumble, and then we're going to go into the fifth para jumble. Now this is the last para jumble for today. Pause the video here, answer this question, and then we're going to go into the explanations of all these 5 questions. Now for the first para jumble, over here sentence A says the results were striking. Okay, my question is, which results are we talking about? Yes, and why were they striking? Correct, so something must have happened, no, for me to get these results and for them to be striking. 30% of the customers who tasted jams from the small selection later bought a jar, compared to only 3% of those who sampled from 24 different flavors. Okay, so if I'm looking at smaller choices, okay, I have a lot of people buying my jams compared to a lot of different choices. If I have too many choices, then only very less people are buying this. Now I can see that this is some kind of an experiment, right? And I am getting some sort of a result from here. So maybe this could be my opening sentence is what I am thinking so far. Now let's look at C. Having too much choice seems to have hampered their later motivation to buy, report Iyengar and Leper. Now, who is this? There is my question. Obviously, since I've read so far, obviously I can understand that this there is nothing but the customers over here, correct? Last one, more sample choices made the jams less appealing. Now again, this has some relation with D. So obviously I can now understand that B is my starting sentence. And once I complete B, I can go for the results were striking. And why are they striking? Because more sample choices made the jams less appealing. So I understand why they were striking over here. Yes, that the more the sample choices, less people wanted to buy. And that is clearly told over here as an ending. What is being reported by Iyengar and Leper. So the best possible solution for this would be B, A, D and C. Now let's go for the second question. The second para jumble starts with they've been writing on the ground rules for theft and yelling, faster please, a process known as rapid fire shock therapy. Now my first question is, who are this they? Okay, almost everywhere that mass state pillage has taken place over the past 4 decades, bank and the IMF have been first on the scene and of the crime. So obviously I can see that this looks like a very general statement. Yes, it's introducing wherever there's been a robbery and violence, these two entities have been there on the scene of the crime. And no, they've not been looking the other way as the locals lined their pockets. Okay, now again my question is, who is this they? Could this they be the bank and the IMF is what I'm thinking of. But the area where the World Bank has the most tenuous claim to moral authority in the fight against corruption. Okay, so wherever we're talking about fight against corruption, then that is where the World Bank seems to shine. So one thing that I can understand is that out of these 4 sentences, B seems to be extremely generic, right? Now after I see B, I would like to go to D. Okay, so almost wherever the state has, there's been a mass state pillage, there's been the bank and the IMF. Now which bank are we talking about? We're talking about the World Bank. But the area where the World Bank, so there's been mass state pillage, that means robbery and violence, but where World Bank has the credibility is against the fight of corruption, right? So I can clearly see that B and D kind of come together. And no, they've not been looking the other way. Now I understand that this they is nothing but the World Bank. So I can clearly see that after B and D, I should get C, and obviously A would be that they've been writing ground rules, that comes as a conclusion. So the best possible answer now becomes B, D, C and A. Now let's go to the third question. Now the third question's first statement says the idea that individual consumption drives economy has a longer pedigree. It seems intuitively obvious. Okay, fine. Now this kind of looks like a conclusion, right? It's like, okay, this is what is given. Yes, that is what it is. B, without people wanting and buying iPods, there will be no iPod assembly workers, ergo no economy. So okay, probably this individual consumption is what's being elaborated here. So probably this might not be the conclusion. So let's just keep this aside and let's then see the other sentence as well. Karl Marx focused on production, not consumption. Okay, this fellow focused on production, not consumption seems like a very, very general statement, something that, you know, introduces the idea of both production and consumption. And D says, one fellow, now forgotten, a freelancer who wrote for the defunct New York Daily Tribune, challenged this. Challenged what? Okay, challenged what exactly? Now, obviously, he's not going to challenge what Karl Marx has said, right? But he could definitely challenge the idea that individual consumption drives the economy, right? So, obviously, I can say that this C statement, where Karl Marx focused on production and not consumption, could come as a very general statement. Then we could go on to the idea that individual consumption drives the economy, and it has a long pedigree. It seems intuitively obvious. Now, why does it seem intuitively obvious has been given to us in B, because without people wanting to buy an iPod, okay, there will be no iPod workers or ergo no economy, right? So I can clearly say that after C should come A and then B, and finally, okay, one fellow, okay, who was a freelance writer for the New York Daily Tribune, he has challenged the idea of A and B together. So last would be D. So the best possible answer would be C, A, B and D. Now let's go into the next question. Old washing machines, leaking industrial batteries, oil filters, hydraulic fluid, bed frames, antifreeze. Now this looks like a list of something. Okay, so it's very hard to think that this would be the starting of the entire paragraph. So let's look at B. As the pile depleted, it became apparent the wood had been covering a large pile of garbage. Okay, makes sense. Well, as far as this sentence goes, maybe this large pile of garbage is the list of items that have been mentioned over here. There was a pile of wood on the edge of the gravel pit that the people occupying the quarry used to feed the bonfire. Okay, so there was a pile of wood, which is what we are talking about over here. So probably this could lead to B, okay, and again B could lead to A if nothing comes in between. D, they explored some more and discovered it was all over the pit, piles of hastily covered junk. Again, this piles of hastily covered junk, some of it half burned, much of it toxic, including broken up pieces of asphalt from the highway. Now, this could be again referring to the junk that we found in A. So, very clearly, once we have dealt with A, we could go here, that they explored some more. That means they explored this, they found this, and they found some more. So, definitely the clearest answer would be C, B, A and D. Now, let's go to the last question of the day. Another is, how well can you know the US if you are not? Now, when you're saying another is, the immediate question that comes to my mind is, what is the first one? He should have spoken about something before and then you say another is, right? So, one question Vidal asks of his readers is, how American are you if you aren't in two minds about the US? If you're undecided about the US, how American are you really? So, this could be the first question, right? And then I could say another question is this, right? These two questions tended not to be asked in the patriotic boom that followed 9/11. So obviously these two questions, when he says these two questions, I know these are the two questions that he is referring to. A time that allowed for authoritarian measures and actions that Vidal has warned Americans about for years. Now, which time are we talking about? The time that is a patriotic boom that followed 9/11, correct? So, very clearly speaking, B starts the thing by saying one question, then another is, and then these two questions. So, clearly I can say that B, A, C and D, which would be the conclusion, should be the perfect order for this para jumble. Now, tell us in the comments how quickly you could solve these 5 para jumbles. If you watched the video till here, I'm sure you found some use of it. So please do not forget to hit that like button, because that motivates us a lot to keep bringing these kind of videos for you. If you're preparing for CAT 2025 and if you know someone who's preparing for CAT 2025, please share this video to them so that they could have enough resources to practice from. Subscribe to this channel and I will see you in the next video.
Hope you enjoyed learning from today's session.
This series is designed to help you with your CAT preparation and practice daily. We are with you in this journey.
To watch the next video, click here. And to watch Gurukul's CAT 100 series, study room to boardroom, the entire playlist, click here.
If you learned from today's session, like, share, and subscribe.